As we continue to talk about the interesting and unusual book, The Course of Miracles, which has the main text, the large text, and then the smaller section for teachers and the other small section for students. Another thing interesting about the way it worked, so when Sukhman was taking it down in shorthand and so forth, now often she would read what she had written later to see if she could make sense of it and try to understand it, because even though she wasn't particularly pleased with the content as she went along, she was sort of back and forth. There were times when she did like it because she could tell how uh, deeply transforming and spiritual it was. So sometimes she would have notes under what was already written there, which are essentially her comments on it. And she intellectually, she was extremely astute and smart woman. So some of those notes are extremely helpful, which I will tell you about, of course, at another time. Now, I have all three copies myself. In fact, my main text is this one here. That's the main text. You can see how rather thick it is and so forth. And I had this in Highbridge years ago. In fact, I got it in November of 1984. And when I was reading it, it was something I would make notes in as well. Now, this happens to be the 12th printing in February 1984. The first printing was in 1977, and well, actually, copyright 1975, and it's the actual publisher's Foundation for Inner Peace. So that's something else, of course, we can talk about. But anyway, as I told you before, it's done into certain chapters. But before I do that, I want to go to the very first section, which is called Introduction. And I will read this to you because this is sort of a summary of the whole course. So here's what it says at the very beginning of this book. This is a course in miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but that is all encompassing and have no opposite. This course is therefore summed up very simply in this way: nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So that is a brief summary of the course, and I believe that that is an excellent summary. Now, also, when I said it's in chapter form, I will show you that as well. You'll see right at the very beginning here, you see all those chapters by subject matter. And each of the subject matter has other things under it, of course, you can go through. And when I was reading this, of course, I would make quite a few notes. For example, on page 8, The Escape from Darkness, I have some underlines, as you can see. And on the other side, I not only have underlines, but I also have some notes and so forth. So, and I'll put MB somewhere because that's means it's very important. And other times I'll even say something this has to do with Gurdjieff, or this has to do with uh, some other saint. So we will continue this in a moment.